Welcome to this whole and centered self-ceremony video. My name is Miranda Elizabeth Murphy Gall, daughter of Elizabeth, granddaughter of Gladys and Agnes, great-granddaughter of Midge and Lizzie, and two great-grandmothers whose names are unknown to me. My ancestors come from England and Ireland. And this is a self-ceremony instruction for the Spring Equinox and the half moon, which occur at the same time this year. So, why do we want to do a ceremony? Because when we look back to our lives, to moments in time where we had thresholds of change, times of closure and of new beginnings, and we see that those occasions needed to be held and marked so that you could remember yourself as a part of all that is, to connect to the cycles that have spiraled for eternity, and in so doing we connect to ourselves and to our environment in a way that remembers how very much we all belong, and how none of us are walking this alone. So it is lovely to partake in ceremony with others, of course, and unfortunately COVID has prevented people from gathering in person to celebrate these sorts of occasions. But there are also many other opportunities to gather in community virtually to mark the equinox and other ceremonies and celebrations. But there are also ways in which we might want to start doing small ceremonies just on our own, by ourselves. And in this way, we get to honor our own experiences in a more private way. So Sunday, the 21st of March, 2021, marks the spring equinox here in the Northern Hemisphere and the autumn equinox in the Southern Hemisphere. So equinox means the day when our sunlight is equal to the amount of night. And this equinox is a moment that marks the transition from winter into spring. It has been marked and celebrated by humankind across the ages and across the globe by celebrations of the coming of spring and the increasing light and warmth that comes with that too. So what is interesting about our equinox this year is that our moon will be a half moon, the first quarter moon and a waxing moon. And we have this incredible moment in time and space where planet Earth will be experiencing equal sunlight and darkness. And our moon will also be experiencing equal light and darkness. And there is a feeling of great potentiality as our moon waxes towards the light of the full moon. That means grows towards the light of the full moon. And the balance that exists in this moment even between our northern and southern hemispheres. And so we can just pause for a moment to consider the balance in our lives and in the world. So to begin a ceremony, you will need to gather a few items, okay? So you'll want to create a sacred space, and you can do that very simply. I have created a rather larger altar for the purposes of this video, but yours does not need to be so elaborate. And I have actually also created this painting of the half moon, but you don't need to do any of that. The items that you need should be completely accessible to you, and you can always add in things that have meaning to you and to the celebration on honoring of this spring equinox and half moon. So when we engage in ceremony, what we are doing is connecting to something greater than ourselves, to the great mystery of whatever it is that's greater than us, and nature is the easiest way to connect to all that is. So when we think of nature, we know that she is represented by 4 elements: earth, air, fire, and water. And so you can bring representations of all these things into your space. And as you bring them in and arrange them however you like, just acknowledge the element and give thanks, right? So as you bring it in and place it in your space, just acknowledge and give thanks. So for earth, you could bring a crystal, okay, or some salt. And I have some Celtic salt, since my ancestry comes from Ireland. For the element of air, you could bring some incense or some sage. This is just some garden sage that I gathered from the land here, or another type of wood that you prefer to burn. Cedar is also another option. And so then you'll also want a bowl of water. So maybe any size bowl, but something that you will be able to place outside or on your windowsill afterwards when you are done. And then we also want to represent fire with a candle. So I'm using a yellow candle here. It's just a simple beeswax candle. And I love that it's yellow actually, because it sort of feels quite springtime-ish. And so you'll light your fire and give thanks as you place it onto your altar. And then I like to use an incense stick for smudging when I'm inside, because it tends to just leave a better, more pleasant smell. And I find that when I'm burning dried leaves or wood, it tends to leave a little bit of a wood burny smell in the house, and I don't particularly like that. So those I use more for the outside, and incense I use for cleansing inside. Now, before I did this ceremony here, I actually did a much larger cleansing of my whole house and property, inside and outside, and I used incense, and I also used water, lemon water, and salt. So what I like to do is just light my smudge, my sacred smoke, from the candle that I've lit to place on my altar. And this is just a Copal incense, which I really like. And so to smudge, you know, some people have feathers, and, you know, I have one, but I don't have it right here. And you can waft the feather over the ember to increase the smoke, and then sort of waft it towards you. And so you can just take the smoke and just bring it around your body however you like, wherever you feel needs a little bit of extra cleansing. You can go around the chakras if you like, behind you as well, just being careful, always being careful. Since it's fire, since it's on fire, sometimes I cleanse my palms and the soles of my feet. And then I always like to extinguish my incense or my smudge after I'm done, because I'm just sensitive to smoky smells in my house. I don't care for it. So I always just extinguish before we go on. So you've got all your elements ready, and your representations of those elements. And then for this particular self ceremony, you should also have a flower. Okay, so I actually picked some flowers from my garden, and from the land around me. And so you could actually go outside and find some wildflowers. Just any one flower will do. I picked quite a few, but really you only need one for the purposes of this particular ceremony. And if you don't happen to have a live flower, then you can use your imagination, or you could draw one on a piece of paper. So one way or another, you can create a flower for yourself for the ceremony. So if you're doing this with me, then you can pause your video and go and gather your materials. And then if you're doing this later on your own, then this is the time that you'll just set everything up and give thanks to each element as you place it in your sacred space or on your altar. Now, in terms of preparations, you may also notice that I am wearing white and that I've dressed up a little bit. And that is because this is also my own personal ceremony, which I concluded prior to recording this video. And I had a specific purpose for wearing a white outfit, but you can really wear whatever you want. It isn't important, but it can feel nice to prepare yourself by getting ready and beautifying yourself and just honoring yourself in that way. I put on some essential oils, and I'm also wearing some special jewelry, which I had the great fortune to win in a competition. So they are quite special, and they have hearts on them, which is also meaningful and wonderful for my purposes to wear them today. And I also will link to the artist in the notes so that you can go and look her up if you are interested. So once you're ready, then you're going to cleanse yourself. And if you don't happen to have any incense, then you can actually use just a grain of salt on your tongue, just a grain, with the intention of cleansing away anything that is not wholly your authentic self. So after you've cleansed, now we set our intention to honor this transition time, this moment where light is equal to dark, and welcome in this time of in-between to notice where we need to bring balance to our lives and where we can welcome in more light. It's often with a sense of trepidation that we enter into something new. And even though we've lived through many winters and springs, we are doing so each time a little differently. And this spring won't be the same as last spring or any spring before or after it. And so we can feel a sense of connection to the energy of the spiral. And indeed, the energy of the spiral, the double spiral, is a potent symbol of unwinding ourselves out of the dark and into the light in this time of balance and harmony in light and darkness, the double spiral, both here on our planet Earth and the moon, and both of the northern and southern hemisphere. So we're turning towards the spring while they are creating balance by moving into the fall. So we all have many ways to balance here, and nature always finds its way to balancing and bringing ourselves back to homeostasis. And so you're going to draw your own half moon, okay? So if you take a piece of paper and a pen and a pencil. So gather your materials, just a plain piece of paper. And I just like a pencil for shading and a pen to write with as well. So you're going to take your paper and draw a circle to represent the moon, and then draw a line down the center of it, and then shade in the dark half of the moon. So because it's a waxing moon here in the northern hemisphere, the light side of the moon is going to be on the right. So I'm not sure how this video is going to project, if it's going to go flip and go back to front or not, but the light side of the moon should be on the right to accurately represent the moon at this time if you're in the northern hemisphere, and then the reverse if you're in the southern. And this is really more for the northern hemisphere because it is about springtime. So much love to the southern hemisphere ceremonial folks, and you can adjust this to make it yours. You can anyone can readjust this ceremony and create whatever they want from it. So once you've shaded in the side, and you see I just did it very roughly, then you're going to write on one side in balance and on the other side out of balance. Now I wrote it sort of in the middle because I'm not going to add in anything else, but you might want to, you know, write it at the top or around the sides or something like this. So then after you have done this, you're going to make 2 lists, and you can either write the lists and then put the items into your picture, or you can just write them directly into the moon, which is what I did to save time. And so you're going to maybe pause the video if you're working along with me, so that you can make those lists. So the first list is a list of things where you feel that you are completely in balance in your life, especially any new wisdom that has brought you into a deeper state of balance at this time. Any wisdom that you want to bring with you from the winter, and focus more on and integrate fully into your life in action now that spring has arrived. And then the second list is going to be about aspects of your life that you feel are still out of balance, but that you're ready to shift or to focus on. And so as you make these lists, as I said, you can either write them out or you can put them directly into your moon image. So you should pause the video and go ahead and write your 2 lists and then put them into your moon. And then when you're done, the other thing is, as you're writing, if you've shaded in your dark half of the moon quite heavily, then as you're writing into that side, you might not be able to see the words, but that's okay because you know that they're there and that's all that's necessary. Okay, so once you have completed your lists, come back and you're going to place that moon with your 2 lists before you, and you're going to go ahead and take your flower and just place it nearby. Okay, so I'd like you at this point to just close your eyes and take a few deep breaths, elongating and deepening your breath, and just come into connection with the element of earth in your body. Everything that is physical, muscles and bones, and just give thanks for that element of earth in your body. And then appreciate and give thanks for the element of air in your body, in the form of your breath and in the spaces that your body contains. And next, appreciating the fire, the heat, the temperature regulation in your body, and your connection with your spirit or your inner flame located in your heart. Finally, coming into connection with all the bodies of water within you, your blood, your saliva, your sweat, everything that is water within you. Feel into it and give thanks. And once you've given thanks for all the elements in your body, it's time to connect within and ask yourself, ask all that is and your connection with all that is, to show you, to reveal a time in your life when you were going through a transition, a time of change when you felt unsupported or alone, a time that wasn't honoured or that maybe you felt shame around. There are often rites of passages that we fail to honour in our lives, times when parts of us were said goodbye to and a new part was welcomed, or maybe we didn't welcome it and we still need to. Maybe we still need to say goodbye to an older part of ourselves that we never had an opportunity to usher out with reverence, with honouring, with love. And so you can stay in a meditation to receive that information, or perhaps you would prefer to stream of consciousness journal about it. And so if you choose to journal, then you could start with this sentence. If I could remember a time when I went through a big transition in my life where I didn't feel supported, it would be ... and then just start writing and see what comes up. And so of course in this self-ceremony you are on your own, so just allow and welcome everything to come up, and if you begin to feel emotional, just allow the tears to really come up, because water is a really important part of this cleansing, and we're going to use it again actually when you're complete with this ceremony, the element of water. And so if your body does start to tear up, then just appreciate that element and all of the power that's contained within it. And of course, if anything comes up that you feel like you can't handle on your own, please reach out to your therapist or to a helpline or to me, and I can help you resource someone to help you. And just know that you're whole and complete and valuable and worthy of love just as you are. So you'll pause the video here, and when you are complete with your meditation or your journaling, you're going to come back to your space, come back to your center, come back to your breath. So now you have your moon with your in balance and out of balance lists, and you have your remembrance of a time of transition in your life that you still need some healing around. So you're going to take your flower in your hands and hold it between your palms. And as you hold it, I want you to create an intention that you're going to honor that time of transition where you didn't feel supported in yourself now. And just acknowledge the feelings that you had about yourself, and acknowledge any pain that is still there, and acknowledge all the healing that you've already done, and acknowledge the light and dark that is in every situation. Acknowledge the learning that was possible through the shadow, and use this moment to tell yourself the part of you that you said goodbye to when you welcomed a new part of yourself forward, that you honor that ending, that you honor the you that you were before that, and all the aspects of the change and transition. All your emotions belong. All your emotions are valid. That part of you is still here, still within you, still a part of you. Now, you may have changed and become something else too, but you can always return to that part of yourself. And just as we close here in this moment, allow your heart to swell with love for yourself, for your experiences, for the support that you're offering yourself in retrospect, and feel it transmit into the flower between your palms. Add any other words here that make sense for you, for your story, and for your healing. And now you will place the flower in your bowl of water. And just do what feels right for you. So you could put it in whole, or you can pull off part the petals, whatever you like. But do it with reverence and intention. And here you are offering that younger self to the waters, to cleanse her, to honor her, and to say, you still belong. You are still here, even though another part is also here. And placing it into the water. And commit to bringing all things into balance. And so you'll take this water and you will anoint yourself. And you'll say a prayer for yourself as you do. And just offer it to yourself with love. And there's no right or wrong way to do this. And however feels right to you, just anointing yourself on your body and just following whatever intuitive guidance arises here. So when you're done with that, you're actually going to place that bowl of water somewhere to receive the light of the moon tonight. So it can receive that light and the energy of the equinox. So you might place it by a window or out in your garden, and you just want to leave it out overnight with the flower in it. And then tomorrow you'll collect your water and just strain it so that the flower's completely out of it. And then put that water into a small vessel. And then anytime that you feel out of balance over the next few days and weeks, you can just anoint yourself or place one drop under your tongue. Now, closing the ceremony is very important. You mustn't just abandon it. You must give thanks and properly and purposefully release everything. So, once again, giving thanks to the elements. And being present in this ceremony, right? So you are giving thanks to the fire for being here as you blow it out. Giving thanks to the water, to the earth as represented here for me by the salt, and the air, as represented by, oh, well, my incense and indeed my singing bowls as sound travels on those airwaves. So finally, to close, just place your hands over your heart and bow to yourself and give thanks to yourself for honoring yourself, for bringing yourself through this transition with grace and honoring and reverence in connection to all that is, to nature, to the elements outside of me and inside of me. And just as you created an intention to open and begin this ceremony, now you'll intend to close it and end it. So once you've done that, you will tidy up your space. You can leave the altar, but if you use salt, you can bury it in the earth, or you can give it as an offering. And you'll place your water, your bowl and your flower somewhere where the moon can shine on it tonight. And you are complete. Thank you so much for joining me. And remember, trust your own intuition. You can make this whatever you like for yourself, as long as you remember the key aspects of connecting with nature, giving thanks, and honoring yourself and this experience. And then as you bow down to yourself, just in closing, just honoring your heart, your center, where you are always whole. Thank you so much. My name is Miranda, and happy spring equinox, happy half moon, and I'll look forward to hearing from you and your questions. Please comment, like and subscribe if you liked this video and if you'd like to see more content from myself and Cassandra. Thank you so much.